Welcome to the Gosh Heck It stream. Glad to have you here today. Coming up, we have stories about canceled romantic getaways, squabbling over financial support, flipping the script on spouse's friends, a wife who cries wolf, selfish travel plans, road trips gone wrong, and of course, spicy stories, and a cake story. Hello there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one comes from AITA and goes like this. Am I the astronaut for turning my girlfriend, 27 female, and I's, 28 male, canceled romantic vacation into a boys' trip and going without her? I'm sure she thinks you are, sir. About 8 months ago, my girlfriend and I planned a vacation. We were both really looking forward to it. It was going to be our first vacation together. It was a really romantic destination and we had a lot of different things planned. She went and bought fancy lingerie. It was really supposed to be a romantic rendezvous and was a big deal for both of us. However, about 3 months after we planned it, my girlfriend was offered a job that was substantially better than her last one with a significant pay raise. This meant my girlfriend wouldn't have the time off anymore to go on the vacation. Still, we discussed it and mutually understood that it meant more savings for us in the future. Overall, it was in the best interest of our future plans that she accepted the job offer and we would replan our vacation, and I supported that decision. I already took the time off and I still really wanted to go, and my girlfriend and I had already replanned our vacation there, but it was for 6 months away. So when the time came and I still had the time off, I had a kind of spur of the moment idea to still go and invite the guy friends. I asked my girlfriend, is she okay with this? And she maintained the entire time that she would be happy for me if I had fun. Feel like that's going to be an important line later on. When I went there, my friends and I went to a few different events around the city, went clubbing once and had fun. It seemed like the more fun I was having, the more my girlfriend's attitude changed. She began to respond to text much shorter, seemed more distant, and at times, even a bit sour. Okay, I'd like to time out for two things right here. Let this be a learning moment for you, sir. The more time you spend away from her, the more you're supposed to miss her. The more time you spent away from her, the happier you got. So I'm sure she was looking at this and being like, excuse me, sir. But also, I'm trying to wrap my brain around the fact that you went on the romantic rendezvous getaway themed vacation with your bros and how all that worked out. It would be like it'd be like Stevie and David whenever she gets the free hotel room, but it's like the honeymoon suite and they got rose petals and stuff everywhere. That would have been funny. Finally, on the fourth night, she texted me to say that she was feeling a bit depressed. She had a death in her family earlier that day. She was working, feeling overwhelmed, and that she was really disappointed that I was in our vacation spot without her, clubbing, etc., while she was working to save money for our future. Okay. Now it changes a little bit. I asked her if she had expected me to stay home when she couldn't go, and she told me it was too vague of a question, but answered generally no, and then promptly told me she loved me and we said our goodnights. I gave her my condolences and tried my best to be more active in texting her for the next following days, but she just seemed so short and disconnected. I've been home for 2 days now and it's still the same. She is disconnected and short, irritable, and even mentioned that this trip wasn't my only big vacation of the year and asked me how much money I have saved for our future together, and genuinely seemed disappointed that I only have a fraction of what she has saved. We're both supposed to be saving a lot of money now while we can to get a good head start, but I've told her a few times that I'm doing a bad job at saving the money. I have this gut feeling that she's massively turned off by the fact that I left without her and maybe a bit jealous, but at the same time, I can't tell if it was insensitive of me to go. We have always maintained that we're very deeply in love. Otherwise, we have a great bond and are really serious about one another. Okay, there's the end of the story, ladies and gents. Pam, yeah, she's jelly. She's jelly, but here's... Why you gotta go and make things so complicated? It gets complicated because she, in the very beginning, was like, yeah, go, have fun. After that moment, she no longer has the right to contest any of this, right? Because she signed off on it. She's going to feel what she feels, though, and that's where this becomes a separate thing. It's not just about the trip right now. Yes, she is upset because she didn't get to go on this, and she was left behind working and then had time to sit there and stew and think about how much she's giving to this relationship that you are not, because you're out there having fun and she's over here working to save money. And oh, by the way, beyond that, you haven't saved or worked as much as she has to contribute to this relationship and your future either, which probably didn't become a huge thought until she had the idle hands time to sit there and stew about it and really thought about the imbalance of things. So it was an imbalance in the beginning with he's having fun, I'm not, and then it became further tilted with a focus on all the other things that made it an imbalance and unfair in her mind. But she signed off on it. That's where this gets complicated for me, because I'm like, generally, yeah, like I feel like you probably should have known better to not go, especially if the whole saving money theme was a thing before this trip. You should have been like, you know what? Yeah, I'll focus on us and save for our future. And that would have been a great decision that made her feel really good about where you are in your relationship. But she signed off on it. Candy Thunder, I got to bring you back up because I have to have a woman's perspective on this.
I wouldn't care if you went. If I couldn't go and I was focusing on my career, I'd be like, yeah, go have fun. Like, you have a great time while I'm here.
That's how she felt at first, too.
I would not change my mind. But maybe that's because I know how hard you work and I want you to have a good time. Because when you come back and we're going to do this in 6 months, like, I have no problem bearing 90% of the load for a week or 10 days while you're gone. I have no problem earning extra money to put towards a fund that is for us, for you to do something if this is not a normal thing. If you're not going on vacations every other week and this is like a one-time thing, like, go do it. Like, you only live once and it was already paid for. It was already done. She signed off. If you know that you're going to get pissed off, don't sign off on something. Don't say, yeah, sure, go ahead, have the best time of your life, and then get pissed that they went.
This is also the first time they're encountering this because it was going to be their first romantic getaway. So they're experiencing a lot of firsts here. And this is probably like the first time they've been in this kind of situation together, and they're figuring out how to communicate through it. And ultimately, I think it comes down to that.
Right.
It's a communication issue, which means it's a them issue, which means it's an everyone sucks here.
It might be an ESH. I think when you're in a relationship and somebody asks you a question and you answer that question and you give permission, what they're looking for, you come to an agreement, she was going to go. You forfeit your right to get pissed off at him going. Like, you can't say, yes, I want you to go. I want you to have a good time. And then whenever he goes and has the good time, you're like, hey, but you're not saving as much. You're not doing as much. Right. Those should have been issues that she presented before. He should have thought of them too. So that's why I'm saying ESH. But I think she sucks worse. I'm like, if you don't want somebody to do something because that was something you were supposed to do together, then speak up.
Yeah.
Like, say what you mean and mean what you say, because she did not do that, in my opinion. She said, and people were asking what she said, and he made it very clear.
People are also saying she had a death in the family too, but remember, the death in the family was like that last day, and she had issues with becoming short before that. So while that may explain her headspace that day, it does not explain the days prior. Right. And this was a buildup, so it can't be isolated to that.
Not everybody reads tone the same way. Like, not everybody understands it the same way. If you want to say something, speak up and say what you mean, because otherwise people can interpret that however I can say, have a good day, and somebody can interpret that I'm being a bitch. And if I don't sing-song my voice, but to some people, I just said, have a good day. So if you mean something, if you want to say something, say it, because if you don't, you're going to lead to shit in your relationship like this, where somebody's pissed off, somebody doesn't understand it, X, Y, and Z. Speak your mind. Also,
if she did say this with a tone, she's learning a lesson now too. Like, right. That didn't work, so maybe I won't do that the next time. Or maybe I've got to talk to him about, hey, when I say things with a certain tone, here's what this means. I didn't want to lose this. Paula, your comment with the super there, communication, ESH, because they both seem to be bad at communication, but he is worse since he has no emotional intelligence. If she had a problem with him going due to the money, she had to speak up.
Where I don't understand why he has no... If I told him to go do something and to go have fun doing that thing, and he went and did that and went and had fun, I'm the one that has shitty emotional intelligence because I didn't mean what I said to him, and I still said it knowing that it would burden myself by saying that.
But on my side, I would think that I am a good enough husband to not ask if I could still go in the first place and take my bronies with me.
I would want
to what
you
was
to
supposed
do
to be
that,
our
though.
first
like,
romantic
I would
getaway.
want you to, like, if I couldn't go, like, I just don't get it. Like, I'm not going to be selfish with that. And like, you allowed me to go do that with my friends, and it was one of the best things that I've ever done for myself. And I would want to give that to someone else if I had the opportunity to give that to someone else, because that meant something to me. And I know what that feels like to be able to do that. So no, I'm not changing my mind on this. I think she sucks way worse than he does.
Where would you put her?
I think she needs to speak up and say and quit. Tones don't work all the time. So speak up and just like say exactly what you're trying to say so that they understand what you mean.
Which is the whole learning communication early in the relationship thing. And that's it.
Like, I say this as someone who used to be this girl. I used to not say what I mean. And I know how bad life sucks when you don't say it. If you think it and you make all these things up in your head, in that they're supposed to understand, and they don't, because women and men are not on the same level when it comes to that kind of like thought process. So I know from experience, from 20 some years of experience being this person, it does not work in a marriage. It actually is detrimental to a marriage. Yeah. So I don't change my mind on this. I think she sucks. I think
where would you
it was
put
a
her?
Learning moment. I think she's ass con too.
I would agree. Because it's a definitely shouldn't have done.
He can go between 3 and 4 in my opinion, but that's how I feel.
Hey, Tony, we've got to go on a romantic getaway this weekend.
Go for
You
it.
ready? You got your go bag?
Go for it. I'm rewatching Selling Sunset. I'm gonna have me time. I'm gonna take a bath. Go for it.
Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one comes from AITA and is this. Am I the astronaut for convincing my boyfriend to cut off financial support for his daughter? Eek. I, 27, female, come from a low-income background. Growing up, my family struggled to make ends meet. My parents worked multiple jobs just to cover rent and basic necessities, and there were times when we had to rely on assistance programs. I put myself through college by juggling part-time jobs as a waitress, tutoring, and doing freelance gigs. It wasn't easy, but I managed to graduate with a degree in marketing. Now I'm working in a job that I love, but I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. About a year ago, I started dating Mike, 44 male. We met at a charity event where I was volunteering. He approached me to learn more about the cause. I was surprised when he asked for my number, considering our age difference and him being clearly wealthy, but I found him charming and easy to talk to. Our relationship blossomed quickly. Mike is incredibly kind, funny, and genuinely interested in my life and struggles. He's always supportive of my dreams, encouraging me in my career pursuits and offering valuable advice. I never expected to be with someone from such a different background, but he treats me as an equal, which has been refreshing. However, as I got to know him better, I learned about his daughter, Emily, 20 female. Their relationship is pretty rocky. He doesn't have much of a connection with her. Their communication mainly revolves around the financial support that he provides. He sends her a significant amount of money each month, which she seems to use to fund a lavish influencer lifestyle. She isn't working or studying, which made me uncomfortable. When I first brought up my concerns to Mike, he was defensive. He felt guilty about not being more present of a father and justified his financial support as a way to show that he cares. I understood where he was coming from, but I pointed out that sending money alone wasn't building a real relationship or encouraging Emily to take responsibility for her life. I'm going to throw a red flag right here because although her concerns may be valid, jumping into a relationship and immediately starting to give somebody parenting advice. After several conversations, Mike agreed with me. I said he could still support her, but only for legitimate needs like tuition, books, or living expenses if she enrolled in community college or at least got a part-time job. I genuinely thought that this was a positive step for both of them. However, when Emily found out, she reacted badly. You don't say. Posting on social media about how Mike is a terrible father for abandoning her and not supporting her dreams. Now Mike is feeling torn. He wants to be a good dad, but he also acknowledges that my perspective makes sense. I can see he's struggling with guilt, and I worry that I may have overstepped by influencing him, especially since it's causing tension in their relationship. Do you think so? You think it might have caused some tension? Okay. How long were they dating? It says, as I got to know him better, I learned about his daughter, their communication, blah, blah, blah. When I first brought up my concerns, he was defensive. So I don't have a beat on how much time went by before she brought this up. And bringing up concerns to somebody who's your partner and you're doing life with them is, that's allowed. You're allowed to bring up concerns. However, I think OP's stepping into this not being a parent and also not really exploring creating a connection with his daughter to understand what the ramifications might have been or to understand where she might be and how she views their relationship. Where does she feel like it needs to go? What does she feel like is lacking here? And not taking time to develop some kind of understanding on that level before saying, cut her off, which is what happened. I mean, he cut her off and paying for things that are important, like books, tuition, this kind of stuff. If she's enrolled in community college, is a major culture shock for her. And if it was not pre-communicated and this was just like a cold turkey, boom, you're cut off, enroll in community college, and then you'll get a check for your books. I'm sure that was shocking to her system. I'm sure she lashed out because what do you expect her to do? She's been thrown in ice cold water. I do think that it was, even though you had good intentions here, I feel like it's something you definitely shouldn't have done. Definitely shouldn't have done this. Or maybe should have just done it differently. Maybe we're there. Mercy, yeah, she voiced her concerns. But I think even though she voiced her concerns, she didn't demand that he do this. Whenever she first brought it up, he was defensive. And then she says later on, he started to listen to me, which means that it's not something they talked about once. It's something that she kept bringing up over and over and over again till he finally got convinced and did it. I don't think that OP did this from a selfish place. I don't think she did this because she's like, I want more money for us. It sounds like he had enough to support her and to still, live the life that OP would have envisioned. But it doesn't even sound like that's a thing that OP was thinking about. It was more about this girl is being brought up way differently than I was. And I see the way she's being brought up, creating a spoiled brat out of her. And not that she's wrong at all, but there's one thing, like offering your perspective is one thing. Convincing someone to take action, I feel like is a completely different thing, especially when you don't have anywhere near a full understanding of what he's going through and what she's going through. It feels like a big overstep on my end here. I'm going to take her up to 2, as I definitely shouldn't have done that. It may be a differently 2, but I think that the fact that this was brought up repeatedly and that she jumped into this really only offering an angle based on what she's been through, which we only ever have our own perspective, but she offered this based on a life she didn't understand and made recommendations that she didn't understand the ramifications of and kept at it and eventually convinced him to take action, and then shit fell apart. Like we all knew it would, but she never knew to think, hey, this may cause some problem. That's the up right there. Is he should have known this would cause problems too. She also told him sending money does not make him a good father. Sounds like she might have encouraged him to spend time, not money, which would be great. It would be great. But again, if you are the daughter in this scenario and there's a life change heading your way, I think you'd like to know about it and probably would be worth a conversation ahead of time, way ahead of time. Like to have enough time to change your lifestyle to accommodate for what's getting ready to change for you. And I think through those conversations, you probably would have discovered that she valued the money more than the time. Lilith thinks that Daddy's POA is jealous that she didn't have a father who could do that for her. She wants him to save his money to spend it on her. I don't get that vibe from her. I don't get that vibe at all. I think she's just saying that's not how I was brought up, and I see it as a problem, which to me seems small-minded. And not that she's wrong, but it's like, I don't know. Getting into a relationship with somebody who has children, even if they're grown-ass children, is super complicated. It is not easy at all. It's not easy, not at all. No. What do y'all think? Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for lying to my wife's friends after an argument? My wife, 39 female, and I, 40 male, have been married for 8 years and have a 4-year-old son. We both work full-time, have a good handle on household duties and expectations. My wife has been really busy at her job the past 6 weeks or so. Her job does a lot of seasonal work, and this time of the year is among their busiest. They had a lot of seasonal workers they hire to help, and they held a party/happy hour for them last week. The week before the party, my wife was at a work conference for 4 days while I was holding down the home front. The day of the party, she told me that she would only stay until 6 to 7 so that she could be home for our son's bedtime. I went about our normal evening routine with our son and got a text from my wife about 7:15 telling me that she was just wrapping up and would be home soon. I put our son to bed and started doing some cleaning, and the next thing I know, it's 9 p.m. and my wife isn't home, so I text her to see if she's okay. She calls back a few minutes later and tells me she's still talking with people but will be heading home soon. I was a little frustrated and annoyed by this. When she got home, I told her I would appreciate a little more communication from her if her plans are going to change like that. She got defensive and told me that I am not supporting her and that she needs to feel like she has the freedom and agency to do social things without me policing and parenting her, and that she lost track of time. That feels a little defensive, saying, considering that she gave the time. He wasn't saying you be home by this time. She's like, I'll be home by this time. I'm wrapping up. I'm on my way. And then hours go by. That feels a little snippy. I told her 90 minutes is a long time to lose track of and that it takes 20 seconds to send a text. She got mad and went off to bed. That weekend, she had a few friends over for cocktails. My wife was inside doing something, so I went out to the patio and said hi to her friends. I then asked them if I could get their opinion on a disagreement my wife and I had. I told them the story about my wife's work party, but lied and told them that it was me that had stayed out without updating my plans. They started going off on me for not respecting my wife enough to give her an update after 90 minutes, and that even though it's important for parents to have social time, I need to recognize that the only way I can do that is by my wife staying home with our son. They all told me I owe my wife an apology and that I need to do better. In the middle of their admonishment of me, my wife came out and asked what we were talking about. One of her friends said that I had just told them about the party the previous week and they were telling me I need to apologize. My wife looked confused and said, but I was the one who had the work party. Boom! I was sitting there with a little smirk on my face and my wife got pissed. Her friends did too. Her friends told me I was a jerk for lying to them and tricking them. I asked them if their advice for me still applies to my wife, and they got all defensive and tried to change their stories. My wife got upset because I embarrassed her. So the question is, am I the astronaut for lying to my wife's friends after an argument? Hell no. Hell no. He gave them a hypothetical with a reversal of the sexes. And boy howdy, did he feel just righteous in that moment when they just started spooling up. And there was a mob mentality there too. As soon as one of them were like, you motherfucker, the rest of them would be like, you treated my girl like that? Like it snowballed. I guarantee it snowballed, and it had to just feel so good for him. I don't know how he didn't sit there with a shit-eating grin the whole time that they started ripping his ass because he knew it wasn't for him. He knew that this was all just falling right into place, and it was proving how right he was. Now, the big question. What was she doing during those 90 minutes? Because, that's a long time to still be standing there talking to people, is it not? And then to be defensive about. If it was us and we got stuck for an extra 90 minutes, it would be like, oh my God, Karen cornered me. And holy shit, that woman will not shut up, but she's my boss, so I couldn't leave, and I wanted nothing more than to send you an SOS so you could call me and tell me that something was wrong with the baby and I needed to leave, but I couldn't get my phone because it was my purse at the table 20 feet away, and that would have looked so obvious. But no, it was, I need to have my own freedom to do social things without you monitoring and controlling me. That seemed a little defensive here. Paula with the SEK Hundo on the YouTube side, it says, NTA, he acted smart and the wife was an astronaut to not give a heads up that she would be late. Hear, hear. Zila says, ESH because he involved the friends, but the wife is 100% wrong and the friends with their reactions. I respect that.
Yeah, so I liked the story because we talk about all the time of what if the roles were reversed and how would that change the outcome, and people may be like, oh, it's not going to change. Well, this is a clear example of like, they had their mind made up and then they're like, well, that's not really going to happen. And they're like, oh, well, if I'd have known that, it would it would have been but it's like, yeah, he just, I think Somebody in chat was like, he pulled the reverse Uno card on him, and that is 100% what he did.
Absolutely. Also, I don't feel like he had any other play, because if he had presented this same story and reversed the roles like he did to the friends, but if he had done this as a Reddit story and then presented those findings to her, she would have been like, that's just randos on Reddit. The fact that it was her friends means that she had to respect the opinion. There was no arguing against it. There was nothing. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is Am I the Astronaut for telling my wife I'm done with her emergency calls and leaving her stranded. I, 32 male, have been married to my wife, 29 female, for 4 years, and we have a 3-year-old son. She's not a bad person, but she's constantly in a state of chaos, and every little thing becomes my problem. No exaggeration, I get these emergency calls multiple times a week. Flat tire, call me at work. Forgot her wallet, call me. Grocery store, out of her favorite oat milk, blow up my phone like the world's ending. It's relentless. I work full-time and do my fair share at home with our son. Diaper duty, bedtime stories, cooking, cleaning, you name it. But these crises are killing me. I've told her before that unless it's a real emergency, like someone bleeding or stuck on a highway at night, she needs to figure it out. I don't have the bandwidth to drop everything constantly. The last straw came 2 days ago. I had to take my son to the doctor because he had an ear infection and I was already running on fumes. While I'm in the waiting room with the fussy toddler, she calls me in a panic because she locked herself out of the car in front of Target 5 minutes from home. I told her, I can't leave. You'll have to call somebody to pop the window. She freaked out, saying that it would cost too much. She didn't bring enough cash, and I was being unreasonable. I stayed firm, said that she needed to figure it out, and hung up. When I got home later, she was furious. She said the guy charged her $150, and I should have come to help because she didn't think to go grab her wallet. I told her point blank, I'm done rescuing you from these things you can handle easily. You need to stop acting like everything is a disaster. Now she's barely speaking to me, acting like I'm the villain for not dropping everything for her again. My brother thinks I was harsh, but my mom said that I was right to set boundaries. Am I the astronaut for leaving her stranded this time? Man, I don't know now. Yeah, you're with your kid at the doctor. Being locked out of her car at Target 5 minutes from home versus sick kid at the doctor in the waiting room. Like, what? That's something she could figure out. Or it could be like, hey, go in Target for a while, and when I'm done here, I'll meet you over there. Not hard to burn an hour in Target. Could have done that. There was a route here, but I understand that this was the last straw. He said it was the last straw, and I was like, that was the emergency, so you had to go buy more straws, but it turns out that was not the case. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, right? This was a long time coming. This built up to finally the breaking point, and that's when this happens. It was not what I saw happening with this at all. I thought it was going to be, she just ends up needing help a lot, and it's worthy things. And then he ended up leaving her stranded on the highway in the middle of the night because he just didn't want to dick with it anymore. And if that was the case, he would be asked on one, but that is not the case. It is she has to learn how to adult, at least a little bit, and not put all of the adulting on him and not make their problems all his problems. She has to have some of the problems too. Otherwise, being married just means that he gets double the problems of life and she gets none. That's not a fair, it's not a fair arrangement that's going to work out in anybody's favor. It's going to fall apart pretty effing quickly. It's an NTA for me. NTA.
A lot of the comments were like, one, like, what if she was that close to home? Could she have walked home and got her extra key or whatever she needed? Or two, she could have taken an Uber home to go get it.
Could have.
Or like
for less than $150.
Wait in Target. And then she says she forgot her wallet, but then how is she at Target without her wallet? Right? Because she was at Target, but then said he was going to charge her $150 and she didn't think to bring her wallet.
Yeah, well, I mean, she could have been paying with.
But there's a lot of options she could have done to wait for him to get done at the doctor.
So if we put ourselves in this scenario, we live about 5 minutes from Target. It's like not far at all. Worst case scenario, if something happened there, Candy Thunder could walk to the house. It wouldn't be that bad, but I would never ask her to do that. My first reaction would be, hey, go into Target, hang out there for a while, and I'll be by there whenever I can. That's true. Oh, that's a good point. You know, that is a damn good point. Candy Thunder said I wouldn't be at Target if you were at the doctor with our child. I'm like, ooh. So that's another problem that she's not handling at all. She's just letting him deal with it. Huh. That's true. Yeah, I could have done an Uber. There are a lot of other scenarios there. Or, you know, a lot of the newer vehicles you can unlock with the app too. So even if you get yourself locked in, there you go. She said she didn't have a lot of cash and then said she forgot her wallet. Yeah, it gets a little fishier every time, huh? Yeah, that's true, Mike. Candy Thunder also wouldn't ask me to leave the doctor to come rescue her at Target. That's true. Yep. Call the police. Free ride there. Free for them to unlock your car. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one of these for you. It's spicy story time. And this one is from True Off My Chest and is titled, My Husband Keeps Getting More Attractive and I Don't Like It. Me, 32 female, and my husband, 32 male, have been together for 8 years, married for 5. I'm not ashamed to say that I was the pretty one in our relationship when we were dating. I think maybe you should be ashamed to say that out loud. Okay. Before we got married, he was around 280 pounds and 5'11", didn't know how to choose clothes for himself, he hates shopping, and had a bald head. I fell in love with who he was as a person. Even though I never cared for his looks, I was secretly assured that he wouldn't cheat on me. There it is, folks. It was a safety choice. I was cheated on every single one of my relationships until he came along. In the second year of our marriage, his sister had to lose a ton of weight due to heart issues, and then he started going to the gym with her 5 times a week to support her. I was very supportive of him starting to exercise and thought it was very sweet of him to support his sister like that. With 2.5 years of hard work, they both lost a ton of weight. He specifically lost around 100 pounds and turns out has very blessed genes. I'm talking about full-on abs and everything. Never knew man can grow jawlines by losing weight. Even his penis seems bigger. I was very proud of him and was pleasantly surprised by this. Then soon after, he got a promotion at work. He became head of his department, and his former boss advised that he should look more presentable as a representation of their department. My husband took his words to heart and turned to me for help. We went on a shopping spree and started to let his hair grow out. Well, again, turns out he has beautiful hair. By this time, my husband is a very attractive man. Then a month later, we went to the company's anniversary party with his coworkers. I noticed that women at the party were just swooning over my husband, and even worse, he just didn't realize it. I learned from his coworker that most single women, even some of the married ones, are actively throwing themselves at him at his workplace. There was one younger girl who gave him a kiss on the cheek while we were sitting together. Well, your safe choice ain't so safe anymore, now is it? I talked to him about it and he said, well, she's French. I thought French people were like that. I guess I'll try to keep my distance from her. Honestly, it was a dumb response, but it's just so like him. I don't like how much attention he's getting. I feel like as soon as we get into a rough patch, if we get into it, there are tons of women waiting to pray for him. I am scared that some of these women will affect him as he is pretty naive as a person. Note that he was everything that I could ask for in a marriage and has been great, if not perfect, as a husband for me over the years. I feel like such a POS for wishing he stayed physically the same. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. I got to read some chat before I dive in on this. Chelsea, so his confidence after getting healthy helped him in every aspect and she is jealous. Yeah, but it's more than that. It's more than that, right? Her worry is going to cause a divide, Ellen B. Yeah. She's insulting him the whole time. Emily. Yoko, she's insecure. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The level of insecurity here is damaging. He doesn't notice because he loves OP. Thank you, Wonder Woman. I think that's accurate. I think he loves her. He doesn't notice because he's not trying to notice. When you have your blinders on for one person, you don't notice a lot of things like that. He's not open to it, so he's not noticing it. They can do whatever the hell they want. If you're secure with the person that you're with, it doesn't matter. But she's not secure with him anymore because he's more attractive now, which is the root issue that I want to address here. I don't give a shit what happens when he's at work parties and she witnesses stuff. That just reinforces the main problem, which was she chose someone who was a safe choice for her. Safe meaning she didn't feel threatened that she was ever going to get cheated on because she knew she was out of his league. Bish. If that's how you feel about a person, if that's the kind of approach you take getting into a relationship, you are not ready to be in a relationship. You are not ready. If you're choosing somebody who is a safe choice because you are insecure with yourself, you are not ready. As evidenced by what happened when he improved himself, when he got healthier. Now your insecurity, like radar, is just buzzing like crazy. It's going haywire because now people notice him. Now he's not a wallflower. Now he's not a 280-pound, 5'11" guy with a bald head. Now he's jacked and stacked and people are throwing themselves at him. But it doesn't matter to him. It only matters to you. And it doesn't even matter to you in the sense that he's more attractive. It matters to you in the sense that you feel less secure. That's sad. Like I want to be mad at you. I really want to be mad at you for doing this to a person and for putting him in this kind of position and for treating him like this and not supporting him to be the best version of himself that he can be and deciding to do this with him. There's nothing stopping you from jumping on this train with him, right? And taking this journey together. I really want to be mad at you for that, but I can't because I'm sad for you. I'm sad for you that you let whatever damage happened in the first place through your repeated relationships where you got cheated on, put you in a position where you felt like you should be in another relationship, but just needed to be in a relationship with someone who was less attractive. When in reality, the last thing you needed was a relationship. You needed time to heal. You needed time to be comfortable and confident with who you are before moving forward. You've wronged both of you by moving forward here. Barnyard, if I found out this is how my wife felt about me, I'd be seriously hurt. Shit. I know I married up. Clutches pearls, gasps. Is this how you feel about me? No. Yep. Yep. Erica, ugly people cheat too. Jesus. That's a t-shirt waiting to happen.
Oh my god.
I feel like it's a t-shirt somebody needs to wear to the bar. Like that's wow. Yeah. I you understand where she's coming from though, right? So she felt like when she was in a relationship with somebody who was her equal, she got taken advantage of and made to feel less than. So to avoid feeling less than, she went ahead and put herself at less than to be with somebody who she viewed as less than. There's the kicker. Is like, yeah, we're only together because you thought I was less than in the first place. Cool. Love that. Now, again, I want to be mad. I want to be pissed, but I'm sad for her because now they've both been injured by these choices, right? So where should she go here? It's like she's upset by the fact that he is improved himself, but she also is just feeling this. She's not acting upon it. She's not saying like she's not trying to mean girls his ass and give him, weight gain shakes or anything. Like she's not trying to change anything. She's just kind of confessing how she feels about this right now. It sucks that you feel that way. Yes. If you do something with this to try to change him, you will definitely be an asshole. If you act on this in a way that supports what you're feeling right now and furthers it, you will be an asshole to both yourself and to him. If you check yourself right now and say, okay, this is not healthy. How can I change what I'm doing to be a better partner to him? Therapy is a damn good idea. She needed to be in therapy a long time ago before she ever got into a relationship. Now she's got to be in therapy to try to keep the relationship that she's got before she self-destructs the whole thing. So she's just feeling this. She's not acting on it right now. So I don't know. I'm still going to put her at a 2 because she definitely shouldn't have gotten into this relationship in the first place. Shouldn't have done it. She wasn't ready for it. And again, I'm not mad. I feel bad for her. I feel sad for her, for both of them, really. And hopefully he never finds this out because that would destroy him. And hopefully this fork in the road, OP, you turn the right direction, the direction that's toward him and not away from him. Hey there, it's Dusty with another AITA story from Reddit for you. This one is Am I the Astronaut for asking my partner to cancel his overseas trip because my dad is about to pass away. It seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to ask given those circumstances. This is a long one, sorry. So my 25 female boyfriend of almost a decade, 25 male, has a trip to the US with uni planned for in a few weeks' time. For context, we live in Australia, so it's a significant distance away. My dad is terminally ill. Like any day could be his last terminally ill. My boyfriend and I live together, and he is my closest friend here in Aussie. I'm really afraid of him not being there if anything were to happen with my dad, which is very likely. So I want him to drop out of this trip. I know it's not a nice thing to ask. Yes, he would be missing out on an expenses-paid trip to the States, but I'm losing a parent. I battle with my mental health even on my best days, and naturally, at the moment I'm really struggling knowing my dad won't make it to Christmas. I can't do this on my own. By this point, you may have made up your mind, however, this isn't the complete picture. A week after he would be getting home, I'm supposed to be leaving on my own trip to the UK. This trip is self-funded and has cost me thousands for those wondering, and on this trip I am meeting up with my best friend who lives in the UK as well as my closest friend besides my partner who is flying in from the US. These people constitute my support network, and we have never had the opportunity to meet in person until now. I can't not go. I will be with people I love dearly. I will also be celebrating my birthday during the trip. So how can I ask my partner to stay home with me and then leave on my own trip just after? It's not exactly fair. If he goes, leaving me here alone and my dad passes, I will be destroyed. Yes, I have family here who can offer help, but not when it's 3 a.m. and I can't breathe because my feelings have consumed me. If I go, no, I won't have him, but I will have my other closest friends for support. These people are my ride or dies. There is also the possibility of nothing happening with my dad, and if my partner stays home for nothing, I'll feel immense guilt. If he stays home, I will feel guilty regardless when I leave. Unfortunately, my going with him isn't financially feasible. While he has only had to pay a few $100s, I would have to pay the full amount, and I'm only working part-time at the moment. Plus, that's even more time that I'm out of the country. Also, he doesn't have to go on this trip. In previous years, students have had to miss out due to there being too many of them. This year, there weren't too many, so everyone had the opportunity to go. This is to say, he isn't screwing anyone else over by not going. If anything, it gives him more time to write up his report, which is the most important part that he hasn't started. I don't know. I welcome feedback and opinions, just please be respectful. I'm torn and frustrated and really frickin' depressed. Most expenses, not all. Yes, I know they're real. We have been friends for a few years and regularly FaceTime, etc. Oh, okay. Responses to some comments where people were like, hey, are you sure these people are real? That you're internet friends that you're going to go meet up? And then most expenses paid. So this is tough. This is, it's like, so this is like an inner dialogue, right? So she's struggling with this. She understands she's the asshole. She's like, I get it. And then for me to still plan on going on my trip and asking him to stay, it's incredibly selfish. I know that it's incredibly selfish. So like, are these feelings truly making me a terrible person? Like, is it as bad as I think it is? Maybe that's where she's at. She's like, is it as bad as I think it is? Once again, the fantabulous Candy Thunder. Oh my God, it's Candy Thunder. Hello. What do you think?
I don't know what I think. I think that I'm like, I think I need to fidget with something.
This is the fidget toy.
I think that it's not fair to ask him to skip his trip. She said that if she's not going to skip her trip, self-funded trip, because if something happens to her dad while she's gone, then she'll be with friends. So I don't know.
So I could see this. I could see this not happening, but I could see it being a conversation, because there are times where I'm like, hey, I've got about 3 hours worth of work I have to do tonight. And you will say to me, I know I'm selfish, but I want you to come to bed. And it'll be like I have to get this stuff done. I'll get here as soon as I can. Or you know what? I'll punt this stuff to tomorrow. And and let's cuddle up. But explaining how you're feeling to your partner is one thing. Asking him not to go, and I'm gonna teach you a term, OP. It is opportunity cost. It is not the money. It is not the monetary loss here. You're using him not paying for this trip over and over again as some kind of evidence to support that it wouldn't be a big impact. That is not accurate because the opportunity cost here is a once in a lifetime trip where he gets to go experience something. That experience is valuable. It is not a monetary value. It is a life experience value. So don't act like there's no value attached to it because there most certainly is.
Right.
Then again, I understand he's your blankie. Right? He's your person, and you want your person there when you know you're going to go through something really difficult. But you also have stated that you're going to have your support network, your ride or dies, the week after he would be getting, the week after he would be getting back. You're planning to see them anyway. And hell, what if something happens to your dad while you're gone?
Well, she said
on
that they
trip?
would be there to comfort her,
But she wouldn't be there for her dad. Like, there's a lot of questions there.
I'm gonna look at this as a parent. If I'm terminally ill, and I know that something,
I do not like this example.
I know that something is going to happen to me, and my child,
I will save you.
my child has a trip planned, like this. I want them to go on the trip. Like something's happening to me either way, whether or not you're here, or whether or not, like, go do something that's gonna fill your cup. The boyfriend too. Like, go. That's how I would look at it. Go on the trip. Because that is better than sitting by my bedside watching what's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
And I feel that in my soul. I've always felt that in my soul. I don't want my kids to see that. Like, I don't want them there for that. I would rather them go on the trip. Like, that's how logically, that's the only way my brain is making sense of this. I don't think it's fair for her to ask him to not go on his trip and then for her to be like, but justification for my trip is X, Y, and Z. And I understand that it's her dad. It just doesn't seem fair. Like you said, this is, he's having help with the funding on this trip. And so it is a once in a lifetime opportunity. That funding isn't going to come back around. And so I feel like I don't know. I just don't feel like it's fair to ask him to either cancel them both or don't cancel them at all.
Well, so I'm going to go a little bit of a different angle here. Because I feel like, OP, it's okay to explain to your partner how you feel. Like our example a minute ago.
Yeah.
You explain how you feel and be like, I know this is incredibly selfish, but this is like what I want. But I would never ask that because I could never ask that.
Right.
And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I want you to go. And Ellen, your comment there about, this has nothing to do with the dad. It's how it's going to make her feel after she loses him. So like the physical presence there isn't an issue. So even if she's gone, she's with her support network, and that's probably best case scenario here. But I think her expecting him, maybe not even expecting, her wanting him to stay behind and miss out on a once in a lifetime opportunity to be her support is understandable, but is also selfish. She can't ask that. He can offer it. He can offer it. She can't ask. That's the dynamic. That's the only thing that would make it okay.
Yeah, I don't know. And they've been together for a decade, so obviously the boyfriend has to have feelings on this too.
Yeah.
But
also, I'm going to go an entirely
really.
I'm going to go an entirely different direction here from what you said about when you're at the end of days and you don't want the kids there. I want y'all there. While I'm shitting myself and drooling everywhere, I want you there every minute.
No, you do not.
Smelling everything,
No, you
wiping
do
my
not.
chin. No, this is documentation. You go back. It's on the internet now. It's forever. I want you there. I'm just kidding.
That's not his.
I'm
wishes.
just kidding. I don't want you to see that shit either.
I
want her to see it.
He told
Not
me
you.
to. I'll take care of you. I got you.
Yeah. This is a spicy story, ladies and gentlemen. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Leaving My Wife at the Airport After She Overpacked and Got Charged for an Overweight Suitcase? The crows have eyes, and don't you dare look at them. My wife and I were flying out for a week-long vacation that we'd been planning for months. Everything was set, hotels booked, excursions planned, and I even double-checked all the baggage restrictions to avoid any surprises at the airport. I'm the kind of person who likes to be prepared, so I packed light and made sure that I was within the airline's weight limit. The night before the trip, I noticed my wife's suitcase was bursting at the seams. I casually mentioned that it looked overpacked and asked if she had double-checked the weight limit. She brushed me off, saying she needed all the clothes and shoes that she packed, and that it would be fine. I didn't push the issue, figuring she knew what she was doing. The next morning at the airport, we check in and surprise, surprise, her suitcase is way over the weight limit by more than 15 pounds. The airline staff told us it would be an extra $100 to check it, or she could take some things out. I suggested that she move some stuff into her carry-on or even into my suitcase since I had extra room, but she flat out refused, saying it would be too much of a hassle to reorganize everything at the airport and that she'd just pay the fee. At this point, I was already a bit annoyed because I had warned her this might happen. I thought she was being stubborn, and we had an argument right there at the counter. She said I was making a big deal out of nothing and insisted that we pay the fee and move on, but honestly, I was fed up. Here's where I might be the asshole. Instead of paying the fee or continuing to argue, I just walked away. I told her I was going to the gate and that she could meet me after dealing with her suitcase. I figured she'd pay the fee and catch up, but when I got to the gate, I started cooling down and decided to board the plane. I thought she'd probably be mad, but she had time to get on before takeoff. The plane took off, and she didn't get on. As soon as that plane started moving, I'd be like, Marshall, where's the marshal? Where's the marshal? Get me off of this plane now because I'm going to die. Guess what?
You wouldn't even be on the plane.
I wouldn't. That's true. I wouldn't be on the plane. I wouldn't be on the plane in the first place. Mostly because I wouldn't know how to get there unless she'd showed me the way.
His last vacation.
She texted me after we landed, furious, saying that she had missed the flight because she was dealing with the baggage issue. I felt guilty, but also kind of justified. She was the one who refused to compromise at the counter, and I didn't want to be late for the flight because something so preventable. She's now calling me a jerk for abandoning her at the airport, and she's stuck waiting for the next available flight. But from my perspective, I gave her the option to handle it, and she just made things harder on herself. So am I the astronaut for leaving her at the airport and flying out without her? Edit! Can't reply to any more posts because somebody got me banned for 7 days for replying with the word you when calling them a relationship doormat rather than referring to them in the third person, as is allowed on Reddit. Silly me. For too many whipped Redditors who apparently bend over backwards to enable their narcissistic partners and refer to that one-way compromise as teamwork, genuinely feel very sad for you people. Ladies and gentlemen, to give her feedback on this story, we have the one and only Candy Thunder.
I think you misused the word narcissistic partner, or maybe you were just talking about yourself. Sorry, I'm blind reacting. I'd never heard this story until just now. But where's all my overpackers? I feel like they're all in here. Where are they?
Where are my overpackers
at? But also, like, who doesn't get to the airport like 2 hours before their flight takes off? Because how was she still dealing with
Right.
unless she got
Yeah.
stuck in like this TSA line that just wouldn't move? I don't know.
And at least
But-
that furthers your point with the,
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
there
super
you
on
go.
the YouTube side. Yeah, it's like her dealing with it had to have been her continuing to argue with the staff instead of just paying the fee. But she said she was going to pay the fee,
Yeah.
so I don't understand.
I hear his story and I don't believe it because his far too many whipped Redditors who apparently bend over backwards to able their narcissistic partners. Is overpacking a narcissistic trait? Like, is that? I mean, she didn't want to move her stuff. I get that. You pack everything. It's. I get it.
We
Just pay the fee.
we got 5 kids. We had full suitcases.
Yeah, it just pay the fee, like, and move on if that's what you want to do. If you're overweight and you know you're overweight, pay the fee. Like, that's why they're there. But I don't know that overpacking and not wanting to redo her packing makes her a narcissist. I mean,
Well,
yes,
I
she
guarantee-
could have moved her shit, sure, yeah, absolutely. But like, I get it. Like, you put stuff in your suitcase and you do it in a specific order, and I understand both sides on that point. But his bend over backwards to enable bullshit
Yeah.
is just like he
He didn't help himself.
There's your personality, dude.
And
We see it.
actually, at the end of this story, I felt for him. But then his replies to people
Yeah.
proved that he was just looking for validation here and wasn't actually interested in anyone's opinion that didn't align with his
Yeah.
pre-existing opinion. So that did not help him at all on
Yeah.
the scale. I do think it's an ESH though. They both suck.
because she overpacked, or because she
Not
was
because she
unwilling
overpacked.
to compromise.
And not because she was unwilling to compromise. I mean, she had ample warning, brushed it off. He tried to prevent this from happening. She brushed it off. And then when it was at the counter, so really what I think she sucks about the most is if she wanted to just pay it and get on the freaking plane, pay it and get on the freaking plane. She's an asshole for missing the flight because whatever she chose to do there was a result of her own lack of preparedness before, which she was warned about. So she got herself into that pickle. That's what she's an asshole for. I think she has every right to be pissed at him for getting on the plane and leaving her, because that's not what you do with your partner. Your partner up, you're right there with them, buddy. Like, it's just, that's how it works. You don't leave them behind, because guess what? You're not taking a trip together anymore. Somehow, like, she had the luggage issue, but you're going to come out of this with the baggage.
Lone Star, there you go. I'll be damned if I unpack and someone sees my underwear. I'm paying the fee.
Just pay the fee.
Pay it.
I
Yeah.
thought it was probably more of if it was already bursting at the seams, she knew as soon as you creaked a zipper on that
There
freaking
you
thing,
go.
it's all going poof, and there's no putting it back in there.
But I do try to weigh our suitcases.
She does.
I don't have a luggage scale, but I'll stand on the thing and like do this and just hold it, and then I'll weigh myself. That's what we do. But you wouldn't leave me there. You would have had Navy and the kids, and I would have been at the counter, or vice
Even
versa.
if it was just a you and me thing,
Yeah.
you know, the
Yeah,
rare
for sure. You wouldn't
once in
have
a
left me.
lifetime opportunities we have to go places ourselves, like we did in Tennessee a while back. Yeah, absolutely wouldn't have left you.
ESH means everyone sucks here, so they're not. Doesn't mean that they're equal assholes. It just means that they both are asshole. They both have asshole behavior, and I will agree. I think it's ESH, but he seems like a dick. Like, he just seems like an asshole.
What
Like, you think like, it's his personality.
not until he responded to commenters, though, because his story, and maybe it's the way that he framed the story, and because he was looking for validation, that's just the way that we got across it.
Yeah, but who's not standing up when that plane, like, you see them closing the doors, like, you feel
had
the plane.
ample warning to know.
Who's not standing up and being like, my wife is not here, like,
Yeah.
my wife is not on this plane,
Right.
Like,
And then the story would have been, is my wife the asshole for holding up an entire plane? And yes, absolutely,
For
she
sure.
would be. And she's still an asshole for getting her to the point that she's at, but so is he.
I just don't understand how she got stuck. Like, if you're already at the counter and you're already paying the fee.
I don't know.
and, like,
I mean,
how are you-
our last trip, we got stuck at a couple counters, and it was a little bit of a shit show. So,
Right.
I mean, it's possible for a simple thing to become a not simple thing at an airport real quick.
Or maybe they got out of line and she had to get back in line.
Yeah.
And then it was like the TSA line got clogged. I mean, yeah, for sure.
Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.